Art Deco. Art Deco was extremely popular from the late 1920s until the middle of the 1940s. This is the interwar period between World War I and II, kind of includes World War II. Uh, it also includes the Great Depression, and this was a time of extreme economic problems throughout the world. And also was a time of social upheaval and rapid industrialization. And in the United States, it was also a time of rapid urbanization. As agriculture became more mechanized, there were far fewer jobs left in rural areas, and so people were moving in droves to cities to work in factories and stores and so forth. This was a time of flapper culture and jazz. These were wildly controversial movements that shook the moral expectations and sensibilities of American society, not unlike rock and roll and hip hop in later times. Women and minorities were taking on new roles in society, and this led to a great deal of worry and political turmoil, especially when it was combined with the economic hardships of the time. This was a very uneasy time, pretty much anywhere in the world, and certainly in the United States. This is a time when we saw the rise of some problematic political views that we still wrestle with right up until the current times. Things like fascism and communism and socialism. The elements of this design era are defined as a move away from the organic and curvilinear design of the Art Nouveau era, and is characterized by more of a decidedly artificial man-made design, what we call rectilinear designs. And this was somewhat influenced by ancient Egyptian designs, but was mostly a result of a new familiarity with the machine age. Luxury and consumerism and progress were common themes in this era. People wanted a clean and hopeful future, and this design era provided that first sort of sci-fi futurism that remains popular right up until the contemporary time. Here we have the Empire State Building. It's an excellent example of the design era, or the design of architecture in this era. Previous to this time, you couldn't build structures this big. Yet with progress in material science and construction technology, this building was able to rise above everything else that you can see there. And it was a beacon of the future. You also want to note that there's an airship in this picture. That tower on top of the building was an airship mast, and it was expected that this would become popular in the future. That's how people would travel, and so they actually built an airship dock into the top of the building. It gives it a very unique shape, and that's actually why it has that portion up there. Here's another famous building from the time. This is the Chrysler Building. It's adorned in modern metals and features these, wicked sort of eagle gargoyle type statues. This was obviously also a time before OSHA and workplace safety regulations. As you can see, these guys they don't even have hard hats, much less safety equipment or of any kind. And they're just out there, very, very, very high up, having a cigarette break. Streamlined design was very common at this time. It made sense for new technologies like high-speed trains, reducing wind resistance and making them faster and more efficient. But this design trend also spilled over into other objects. So you end up with things like streamlined toasters and radios to show that they were high-tech and modern. That was just how you connected with those new technologies. And here's a beautiful example of a luxury car from the time. I love that. Love that car. Graphic design mirrored these themes. The last one here is a movie poster for a movie called Metropolis, which was one of the first science fiction blockbusters. And you can actually watch that entire movie on YouTube. It's in the public domain. There's several different versions that are available on there. Here we have some advertising from this time. As you can see, how they evoke the elegance and modernity and technology that was so popular at this time. the people in the ads are more cartoon characters than actual people. And just as in industrial tech, as industrial technology was taking production and making it as efficient and streamlined as possible, advertising was trying to do the same thing with humans and their needs and desires, boiling them down to their essence and making them more efficient to acquire. And last, we have a modern example of this type of design. This was a movie poster that someone did for the Batman Returns movie in that same sort of style.